Gotta say, they don't smell as good as when they were brand new, but there is definitely a smell of newness to them. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and on this video we are looking at Saucony's Endorphin Shift 3. The Endorphin Shift 3 is a pretty cushy, pretty stable, non-plated brother of the Endorphin Pro and the Endorphin Speed. And this is kind of going to be your daily driver. This is what you are going to take when you want to go out for your easy runs. Of course, it can pick up the pace. I tell you what, I have been enjoying running easy in this shoe. And as that is the bulk of my miles, I've been wearing the shoe quite a bit. I've been very happy with Saucony's releases this year, and the Endorphin Shift 3 is no exception. Except for the white colorway. I found myself coming home and trying to rub the dirt off, and they're already not as white as they were when I got them, but that is the one downside to white running shoes. Anyway, let's get into it. First of all, a little disclosure, the Endorphin Shift 3 was sent to me for the purpose of review. However, no one is going to see it before you do on YouTube. But that said, let's talk about it. You can buy the Endorphin Shift 3 for $150 US. And of course, I will put a Roadrunner Sports link to this shoe in the comments below. And while we're talking about price, I do have to say that $150 is well worth it for this shoe. I know prices of running shoes are gradually creeping up, but in the whole scheme of things, what you can get for $150, I think the Endorphin Shift 3 is very well priced. And when I come back from a run, my feet really agree with me. Now, this is a max cushion daily trainer, so it's not going to be a skinny mini, but it does weigh less than the Endorphin Shift 2. Saucony claims that a US men's size 9 tips the scale at 9.4 ounces or 266 grams. However, in my size, a US men's size 13, the Endorphin Shift 3 tips the scale at 11.5 ounces or 326 grams. And I know that some of you with smaller feet are looking at my giant feet and the numbers that are associated with the weight of this shoe and thinking, whoa, 326 grams is a hefty shoe. But I found that the shoe actually rides quite light. I have run in heavier shoes that sometimes feel like they're heavy, and for me, at least, the Shift 3 does not feel heavy on my foot. And I know you guys are just eyeing this giant slab of midsole, and we are looking at a barely legal 39 millimeters in the heel, 35 millimeters in the forefoot for a 4 millimeter drop. And that's right, I said 35 millimeters in the forefoot. That's a lot of stack height for a forefoot. And just to add something to that really cush ride, Saucony is including a Power Run Plus sock liner insert, and this adds another 7 millimeters of padding to your shoe. All in all, the Shift 3 is a pretty nice soft ride, perfect for putting a load of miles. Oh, and by the way, the Shift 3 does fit me true to size. So just like all of Saucony's Endorphin family of shoes this year, there have been a lot of changes to the Shift 3. But as always, let's start at the top, let's work our way down. First of all, let's look at this heel collar. Something I always love about Saucony is that they don't overdo it on the heel collar. In my opinion, at least, there is no need to put so much padding in that heel collar. And I feel like Saucony has hit the sweet spot. You can see by looking at it, it just doesn't look very thick, but there is more than enough padding in this heel collar to do its job. And I found it to be extremely comfortable. The heel counter on the Shift 3 is very rigid. And if you haven't noticed up until this point, but Saucony has included a very big heel clip right on the back here, which makes for a very stiff heel counter. And when the heel of my foot is seated in the shoe, it is very comfortable and there is no movement. Seriously, there is no flexibility in this heel counter. But that's a good thing. It locks me in nice. As far as the upper goes, we do have a lightweight, very breathable mesh. Now, it is a bit thicker than the other shoes in the Endorphin lineup, but really that is to be expected. We don't need to make this so light like we do shoes that are made to go a little faster. But even so, I found this shoe to be very breathable. The upper has a very similar thickness to the Tempus. It's just a little different styling of the upper. Now, just like the heel collar, I think Saucony really has hit the sweet spot with their tongue. A lot of the times when we have a shoe that you're supposed to put a lot of training miles into, sometimes the tongue can be irrationally thick. Not so on the Shift 3. It is fairly thin. We have a little Saucony logo that has a little extra padding right here on the top, and the tongue wraps around your foot nicely and is gusseted. All in all, I got a lovely mid-foot lockdown on this shoe. But if you have worn any other recent Saucony shoes, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very similar feel. Now, even though I've already given you the weight of my shoe, and I know you're thinking, listen, it's not crazy light, Saucony has clearly put a lot of thought into saving weight where they can. Now, along the eyelet chain, we have a little bit of overlay reinforcement, and again, around the toe, there is just a little overlay just to reinforce the toe. And then on both the medial and the lateral sides, we do have some strips of overlay, just giving the upper a little more support as it wraps around your foot. Oh, and let's just go to the back of the shoe for a second. There does seem to be some faux suede right here on the back, and I know it's faux suede because the Endorphin Shift 3 is vegan, and it does contain recycled materials. So just a little bit of faux suede on the back, probably for styling purposes. Then we do have a pull tab. Pull tab, I found quite difficult to get my finger in just because it is elastic and it's pretty tight elastic. So if you are a fan of using a pull tab, you might have to scratch around to get your finger in that to help pull your heel up. But either way, it's always nice to have a pull tab, especially if you don't unlace your shoes enough to get your feet in. Just give it a yank on that pull tab and you'll be good to go. Let's come down to the midsole. This is what gives this shoe the pride that I really enjoy on a lot of my runs. This is Saucony's Power Run foam. It is an EVA TPU blend. Look, it's not Power Run PB, but it still is fairly light and it's going to be quite resilient and it's really going to last a long time and allow you to put a lot of miles into this shoe. As far as the fit of the Shift 3 goes, I've already told you I get a good lockdown in my heel, get a nice lockdown across my midfoot. What I found nicely surprising was how much room I had in the toe box. There was plenty of room for my toes to splay out. Oh, and I already got away from the midsole without telling you, and listen, I really do have to tell you, or I shouldn't have to tell you, but I guess nowadays we're putting plates in so many shoes that it is important to tell you that the Endorphin Shift 3 does not have a plate. The Endorphin Pro does, the Endorphin Speed does, the Endorphin Shift does not. And I don't know about you, but I find running in shoes without plates actually quite refreshing. I do get a little bit of plate fatigue, depending on which shoes I'm running in. Let me know if you also get tired of running in plated shoes if you do so on a regular basis. Okay, let's come down to the outsole. Now, Saucony has made a few changes, but there's no getting away from it. This outsole is obviously Saucony. What they have included on the Shift 3 is this cutout running down the heel. And this is here not only to save weight, but to give a little bit of stability and a little direction. You can tell just by looking at the outsole rubber that on the medial side, we have some smooth rubber, and on the lateral side heel, we have deeper grooves in the rubber. And obviously that's because most of us, especially those of us that heel strike, we land on our lateral heel and then roll forward. And then of course we've got quite a bit of grip coming around the outside. We do have this line of rubber coming down the middle, and this is Saucony's XT900 rubber. It's pretty grippy. Now, I don't get a chance to run in the ice too much. I barely get a chance to run in the rain too much. But for me, I haven't had any experience where I've thought I was going to slip with these shoes on. Anyway, back to this rubber, because to me I look at this and there isn't much outsole rubber. We have a lot of exposed foam coming right down here and through the middle. But what I was surprised at was that this XT900 rubber coming around the outside and through the middle is just about the same level as this exposed midsole. In fact, as I'm looking at it now, I think this centerpiece is just a little lower. Now I'm sure once I get a few more miles in it, I'm going to wear down that midsole and the rubber will take over. But Saucony has clearly done this to save weight by just cutting down on the amount of rubber that they use. I don't know how much dirt you can see on the bottom of these shoes now, but I did take some soap and water to the bottom, which honestly I don't usually do. It's only because this shoe is so white that I was compelled to clean it a little more often. Maybe that is the biggest downside of white running shoes. It's a little more stressful when they get dirty. Hey, look, as far as ride goes, let me come right out and tell you that this is not your race day shoe. Of course, you could run a race in it, but Saucony has a lot of better options for that. The Endorphin Shift 3 is your bread and butter daily trainer. This is going to take your foot, it's going to wrap them in a cocoon of cushion, and it's going to make you feel good for your entire run. This is the shoe that you look forward to just going out and enjoying your run. Not the runs that you have to put in efforts, run intervals, run a tempo pace, but the ones where we just go out and log the miles. And I think it fits nicely into that category. Now, of course, in my testing, I have picked up the pace. I've run intervals in these shoes. Now, I do recognize that I'm very lucky and I get to run in a lot of different shoes. So I do get to choose a shoe that fits the run that I'm going for. So I do want to encourage you that perhaps if you are new to running and you're just looking for one pair of shoes, above all, the most important thing about a pair of running shoes is that they're comfortable. And if you're looking for something comfortable, something that's going to last a fairly long time, that's going to treat your feet right, the Endorphin Shift 3 is where it's at. Guys, thanks for staying all the way to the end of the video. Look, if you like this video, if you like shoe reviews, if you like the Endorphin Shift 3, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It just helps me and helps put this video out to people that may be interested in the Endorphin Shift 3. Again, check out my link to Roadrunner Sports in the comments. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.